OB.Neon, where do they want to go with this? I mean, they still seem to need another support. I suppose you can still run the pos for LC, but haven't seen too much of that as of late. Do expect that to be an off-lane pick, but into Ursa can be a bit of a rough time, let's be fair. OB.Neon, they'll have a bit of a think about this fourth pickup now. I've got to say, Execration's draft just looks better already, in my opinion. I mean, the Monkey King is nice, and we know how broken this hero can be. But in terms of just a well-rounded draft right now, Execration just looks cleaner and easier to execute than, say, what OB.Neon have, which it looks a bit all over the place, for lack of a better phrase here. That being said, they've only got 3 heroes right now, so maybe that's why. Maybe my eyes are just being quite biased with number of heroes. OB.Neon. Still thinking about this fourth pickup, though.
I think for OB.Neon, they could still flex Monkey King support, and they will. They go with the Clinks instead, so we look to have a Monkey King 4, Disruptor 5, LT off lane, Clinks 1. Clinks up against Ursa can feel a little bit better. You do have good damage coming through. We haven't seen too much of the Clinks in Pro Series 9. We saw a lot more of it from Pro Series 8, mainly from Yangon Galacticos, right? And Dreammaker. That was the hero they really made work. Clinks was doing a ton of damage. We'll see if OB.Neon, if Palos can hit the same farming spikes. Maelstrom, very important. Gleipnir as well could be a decent build-up, just to give you more control. And you can kind of run and gun from there. It's a much quicker hero to play, but I don't think the Ursa lags too far behind. Ursa also just needs a Morbid Mask and Diffusal, then you're kind of set to take Roshan, stand in front for your team there. You have the backup of the Tide Snap for the team fight. You have some save with the Shadow Demon. There's enough here for Execration to fight against that Clinks timing.
Yeah, I wonder about the Clinks, right? It's still pretty potent. Once you get that initial farm up, you get the Maelstrom into the Gleipnir, and then you start to feel quite strong with that Burning Barrage, but I do wonder about it. Nice kind of ability against the Ursa, sure, but still this hero, we haven't seen it much after those nerfs that happened after the initial change to Clinks. It's always one of those heroes. It's like OD. You can't... It can't be strong. It can't be balanced, it feels like, this hero. It's either really strong or it's just really bad. And OB.Neon, maybe they've found a build that may prove to be very strong, or maybe they just feel like it suits the draft very well. I suppose in any sense, with Execration's draft, I don't see them being able to kind of infiltrate the jungle and try to shut down this Clinks farming, so you're definitely going to have some time to get that farm up initially here for this Clinks. Just whether it'll transition later on into a win for OB.Neon is my question. Then again, I have doubted OB.Neon quite a lot as of late, and they've proven me wrong over and over again, so kind of hard to keep doubting them, John. In fact, we used to do that quite a bit back when Skem and Yopaj was still on the team. And they proved us wrong pretty damn fast too, so, it's one of those teams, John.
Definitely are. I mean, you can't fault us for kind of looking at Neon a bit weirdly sometimes. When Yopaj pulls a Sand King mid.
They can fault us, John.
Back when it was fresh, Sand King mid, the Snapfire mids from Yopaj as well, Earth Spirit mids.
Hey.
You kind of okay, I don't know what's up with this, and then it just goes out amazingly. They prove you wrong. So I think that's their game plan. Just make you feel like you're right, then just prove you wrong. That's it.
The Snapfire mid was good, though. Let's be fair.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Sand King was, it's questionable, to say the least. I'm sure Yopaj is still waiting for the day Sand King gets buffed so he can bust it back out, but... So OB.Neon, there it is. The Husker flies out from OB.Neon. No counters towards the Husker as far as I can tell. This could be a rough one, John. It's a Mamang Daya Husker too. We know this man. He's very cheeky on these kind of heroes. I am now very concerned about Execration.
Yeah, they've got to worry about a lot here in Execration side. I just don't know if it's a really good Husker game, though.
How?
You're playing it into Shadow Demon, you've got good Purges on hand, you've got the Disruption to hold back the Husker if he does jump in on any other hero while BDZ's in range. So you've got some save for the initial jump in from the Husker. You've got good physical damage on the Ursa. You've got decent enough burst damage from your Snap with a little Shredder amping up your Ursa damage. So I think there are tools from Execration to hold this back. I do feel like the pacing from OB.Neon is a little bit quicker with a Husker now, though. So they're going to hit an earlier spike. They're going to be able to run and gun a lot quicker. When the Monkey King Disruptor support you, as we talked about earlier on, Mike, Monkey King gives you vision, you disrupt someone backed, and you can find an easy kill. If the Shadow Demon, again, doesn't get the save with his own disruption, it can be a bit awkward. The Glimpse will just drag someone in, make an easy kill. So actually for Execration, a lot hangs on BDZ's positioning, which means it's going to be a pretty high pressure game for the support. I think Neon, the hard question here is who comes up with a better draft, and I think Neon has a slight edge in timings, but if they miss their timing, Execration has a massive window to just scale late game.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, it sounds like you don't have much faith in the ultra late game of or rather just the late game of the Clinks either, which I think is fair. I think we both kind of doubt the Clinks, but I'm personally leaning more towards OB.Neon this game. For once, Jonathan, you and I are split on drafts, which is very nice to see. We'll head into game number 1 between these two as we do have an immediate pause out. And while we do have this pause, John, I've got to ask. I mean, do you want to try? Is something going on? Do you want to?
Yeah. So Paula says they've got a PC problem. Marb starts counting, and Paula's is like, "Yeah, go on, Marb, keep counting." And Marb's like, "How much?" I don't know about the doggy remark. There you go. We don't have Dougie here, unfortunately.
No. What does that mean?
For some reason, they're saying ABC. You guys pick the LT at the same time as well. And Palace is like, yeah, IO. And Palace is inviting everyone to eat out. They're like, let's go eat later, G. Good for them. They got to get some food. Look at that.
What about us?
Not us.
What about you, John? I mean, they can't invite me. I'm in Australia. But what about you, John? You're in the Philippines?
Yeah, they can't invite me. I'm like several cities away, unfortunately. So, yeah, I can't just casually fly over to have a good meal with the boys, sadly.
Oh, that's okay. I'm sure Japoy will call you up for dinner later on. You guys go out all the time, right? That
man still owes me a burger. Gary, you know, he's a man of his word.
No, you didn't get him into the Philippines, John. He doesn't owe you a burger.
Gary was happy. Yeah, I helped.
Gary's a businessman, John. He acts happy just to keep the connections. Good on you, Gary. Don't worry about John Xfire. No burger for you, John. Not until I see all the players from Boom in the Philippines.
All right. Fair enough. I don't know why Bob is spang out Katrina Rose. Lots of names being tossed out.
I'm not going to Google that.
BDZ, his car can only go one way for the meal later, so he can't drive back. So that's the worry he's having. Then they're saying now Palace is accusing them of replacing him with Prince for some reason.
Right.
And now he's oh, whoops, said it in all chat. They're starting to get a bit cheeky, these players.
I don't know who Katrina Rose is either, John. Probably won't Google that, just in case. It's interesting talk here between these two teams. Interesting discussion. As there is a bit of a wraparound in the meantime. Execration may have been running the distraction play all along, John. They've got the high ground now. Like, never mind, Tino's going to get to the low ground.
Seconds to battle.
Check for a ward. Not going to quite find one. There's actually a very interesting ward placement here in the Dire jungle. So they don't go for the rune ward, rather going for the jungle ward. And I suppose you are probably going to want to stack some creeps up, but that's not a ward you see too often. Maybe just to ensure that Mamang Dire does remain protected, as he's probably going to be on low HP for most of the laning phase.
The battle begins.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think they just want to, again, as you mentioned, Mike, give Mamang Dire a good start, watch for the flanking potential there, and ensure that no one's going to be able to steal away some stacks they might build up on OB.Neon side as well. That's something the Shadow Demon can get done relatively quick by himself, so they don't want to bleed out that gold early on. Do you see the lanes break out here? Of course, we will have our mid with Bob on his Ember, something that we know Bob can perform on, but Mamang Dire has the Husker. I remember this hero from his Army Geniuses days, and to be fair, I don't know how often AG won with their Husker picks. You know, so they'd pick it last, they'd sometimes go for the Oracle combo, and kind of hit a good early to mid-game spike, but kind of fall off late game. Of course, in the laning phase, you can't just leverage your Burning Spears. Bob can't do too much to block off the damage with level 1 Flame Guard. Gonna have to watch how close he gets for those last hits, because Mamangdaya will be able to zone him out.
Certainly so. And you can already see that damage starting to stack up here on Bob. Definitely going to be a very difficult kind of lane, as he has to be very cautious, Bob. Oh, it was an uphill miss there. I suppose he was fine anyway. The Fire Spear is just not enough damage yet. We'll have a look at the other lanes quickly. Top lane, UK and Palos going to be against BDZ and Tino. Definitely some kill potential between these two teams, but Tino should be just fine at the time. Though as I say that, he's going to make a bit of a play here onto UK. Palos is still trying to go onto the Tidehunter, however, and now BDZ getting very greedy for this kill. Very fires out. Fog is there, though. UK is going to remain safe. But in the end, the gold is split, and First Blood never really comes out.
It's still a pretty darn good time for OB.Neon. I think for Execration side, they get a reset on their Shadow Demon. It's not like he had Shadow Poison to spam out, so he wasn't quite low on mana as you usually want, but he'll be able to TP in, regen up Tino with Salve, kind of ferry some items up. So a nice kill for Neon, not the most meaningful one, but that does set up for a better start on the laning phase. UK hits level 2. Gonna have more mana to play with the Thunder Strike spam, and as long as BDZ's held back from hitting level 2 himself, you don't have to worry about the Shadow Poison spam too much. The combination of Shadow Demon plus Tide isn't the most aggressive, and there is potential. We did see them try to play with Disruption, but it takes a lot of levels to really leverage that, and even though these two heroes on the side of OB.Neon are squishy, you don't have the best damage until you stack up some Shadow Poison here.
Certainly not. Of course, down at the bot lane as well, John. Enryu going to be there against Marb and RR, and he's going to be supported there by Hustler on that pos 4 Monkey King. That's not the easiest lane against the Ursa. Obviously, he's going to be just spamming those overwhelming odds, trying to secure CS that way. Not going to opt for a Soul Ring, though, which is interesting, because top lane, UK, does end up getting caught out here by Tino and does drop. Back to my point, though, John. Enryu not going for the Soul Ring, so not sure if he's going to have enough mana to keep spamming out these overwhelming odds. Maybe he gets a Soul Ring after the Bracer. I suppose we'll wait and see, but at least for now, he does have 2 mangoes available.
Yeah, I mean, you still want to keep spamming out those overwhelming odds. I think the main zoning is going to have to come out from Hustler. So he actually wants to get in, get his levels up, get the value point in Jingu, to trade right clicks, try to zone out Marb, zone out RR as best he can. There is a lot of potential for aggression here from Execration though. RR, he's got the Blightstone, little Shredder ready, he can just melt the armor of the heroes of OB.Neon, and Marb can just build off from that. Fierce Wipes will stack up, and Ryu can't really do much against that, especially without the press the attack. And once you're out of mana in that LC, as you pointed out, Mike, it's not a fun time. The mangoes will ensure there's a safety net, but the skipping of the Soul Ring might hurt their laning presence early on. That is something Enryu has to be aware of. Marb not going to care too much about that. Having a good time in CS, but so is Enryu, all things considered. The LC not completely zoned out of lane yet.
Absolutely not. You say that Enryu now dropping very low, and well, he hasn't skilled up his second skill yet. He's still holding on to a skill point just to see what he needs. Marb for now, though, having a decent time. Thing is, the CS is still very even. In fact, Enryu is actually 1 ahead of the Ursa. Not quite as dominant as you'd like to see here from the safe lane of Execration. Enryu has been playing very cautiously, and well, that's exactly what you love to see here from the LC. In the meantime, top lane Palos ends up dropping quite low, but he's got the hand up and he'll just run away. No problems here. So UK will be able to salve him up on the Disruptor. They are trying to get as aggressive as possible early on in this offlane of Execration, but it is relatively hard with the Tide Shadow Demon. I mean, your Shadow Poison's quite nice to spam out, but chances are Palos is going to be able to get away every time.
Yeah, and they didn't manage to find a kill on Tino, but forcing out the Tide just buys tons of space out for Palos. Going to be able to hit level 5 by the time Tide's back in lane. So you're going to have a good time here for OB.Neon. You're scaling up on your flanks, you are finding that initial farm, you know, and you are kind of getting everything you want. Sure, your bot lane's kind of even. That's already a pretty good start for the LT against Ursa, which you don't expect to be a full win. And Mamangdaya is still overtaking mid. Level 5 now, about to hit 6. Bob's still about to hit 5. Does manage to snag a water rune at the least, but you can't contest the Husker. You need maybe a support rotation to deal with Mamangdaya. I'm surprised they're actually willing to give this Husker this much space on Execration, Sam. its biggest low point is like level 1 to 3. And there were no early rotations. You did have Shadow Demon that can maybe get a good rotation. You've got the Snapfire as well, RRs in the area, but they just can't commit now that level 6 is up.
They certainly cannot. One level disparity right now between the Ember and the Husker, and Mamangdai is about to make that a 2-level disparity. So it looks like the only thing Bob can do is creep skip, but he's only got 2. No, he's got the 3rd. He's got at least the range creep with him. So not too bad overall. This is really the best he can do. I mean, there's just no way for the Ember to lane against the Husker and even out. Unless the Husker play is just bad. But Mamangdai is certainly not bad on this hero. Doing a fantastic job thus far. With the siege creep, he can kind of just tank the tier 1 tower for a bit. Bob, in the meantime, has been chased down. They're going to try and punish this play from Bob. It's a very nice rotation out from OB.Neon. Of course, that is what you want to do, but in the meantime, Mamangdai is going to get caught by the supports of Execration. I believe that was a disruption into a cookie stun. And of course, Mamangdai was getting rather greedy trying to go after that tier 1 mid tower, and he does get punished.
Yeah, just a bit too deep, not respecting the potential of the supports of Execration to rotate and punish. So you trade your mids here from Execration and OB.Neon, keeping the game relatively even. A bit of an more important kill to find on the Husker though. UK being caught out though.
Yep, gets caught out again. Bob unable to quite get the kill for himself, which is a bit of a shame considering how bad of a lane he's had, but I suppose even just getting a bit of XP is not too bad right now for Bob, as he's still yet to hit that level 6 mark. In the meantime, Mamangdai, it's like he's kind of relegated himself to the jungle now. So you want the armlet up and maybe the treads after that before you really get going. Kind of curious to see how much farm he does intend to soak on this Husker. So obviously you do want to give majority of the farm on the map to Palos if you can. At the very least though, you do need that armlet to really play with this hero.
Yeah, has to fly in first before forcing some bigger engagements. And it's almost done, just about 150 gold left, so Mamangdai is going to hit his power spike. And this relatively even state of the game will slightly favor OB.Neon because of those early spikes. The Husker is going to be online soon, your Clinks is going to get some space to build into the Maelstrom, and we'll go off on a run after that. For Execration, I mean Ember, no phase boots yet, no Orb of Corrosion. It's been a very slow start for Bob in this matchup, which is to be expected, but you want that Ember to have that early impact, that early damage coming through.
A nice little swipe there from Hustler. Just sitting in the tree, waiting. They tried to give the double damage over to Bob, but Hustler just jumps out of the tree and takes it for himself. No problems there. In the meantime, he is going to scout out RR and does have the Boundless. Enryu has Jewel up as well, and this should be the first bit of Jewel damage to come out for Enryu. Very early on as well, 8.5 minutes in. Nice little start there for the LC. That'll make it a 3-3 as well, with a slight net worth lead to OB.Neon. All things being said and done though, things are still going relatively okay for Execration, as now Palos has been jumped, Ravage is down, they'll get the Clinks down. Great kill there for this Radiant team. And that is one man that was kind of just uncontested throughout this game, but Martino does take care of him along with BDZ.
Great kill to find, slowing down that Clinks timing into the Maelstrom. That's the big spike for that hero. The Javelin, you can kind of do work from there, but you can't really show yourself. It's really just going to be all for farm build-up. And that does kind of show that Ravage was committed, so they don't have to worry about that big counterfight spell now on OB.Neon's side. They could look to just play aggressive from here. They've got the armlet up in Mamangdai. He's much harder to kill off. He is still farming up. He might just want to wait for the BKB before going for anything big, although Tino.
Yeah, the turn kill on the way. Palos will still have the tide around with the glimpse back from UK, and well, Disruption is going to buy time, and there's a lot of heroes that have rotated. Mom's going to take off Hustler, and it looks like they are going to get their Tide Hunter out as Palos. He's going to die a second time. And that is really bad news for OB.Neon, as UK also gets spotted out by Bob. He doesn't have the chains to lock him down. They won't be able to secure this. Is now Mamangdai. He's going to force a fight. He's quite low, but this is when the Husker is really strong, as now Bob, he's gone too far, getting baited by the low HP, but they do at least get the kill onto Mamangdai with the purge out from BDZ. I suppose getting those 2 kills, though, going to feel quite nice for OB.Neon, considering what happened at the top lane.
BDZ might be able to find... Yeah, he finds TK.
Wow. BDZ just chasing all the way for that. My goodness.
Yeah, just playing the Shadow Demon really well. And we talked about that from draft. A lot of the gameplay from Execration actually relies on the Shadow Demon for the saves, for the interruptions, and for the setup. And BDZ's just kind of played it out in the last minute there. From top into mid, getting the save off the cut off the chase on Tino, getting the damage off to kill off UK, getting the purge off to control the Husker. You need to kind of pin down the Shadow Demon. It's the main piece of save and control from Execration outside of Ravage. And if you don't manage to figure out where BTC's standing, the fights become a lot harder.
Nice static storm set up here from UK. You've got the Enrage up, but Mamang Dai is going to be there with plenty of damage, and now the Duel's there. They should at least have the Ursa, but the Disruption again going to save, and Mamang Dai, he's going to die to the Mortimer's Kisses of RR. And Mom, at the end, is going to survive with his life intact. Okay, this is becoming very problematic now for OB.Neon. It's not looking too great.
No, it really isn't. It's down to BDZ. Again, from draft, like, Shadow Demon's all your answers, and even Hustler gets caught out. Just a freebie coming out for Execration. They keep that shove on mid. UK can't really do too much to stop it. They will TP an Enryu. No duel up. Not really going to be able to do much. The deny is there at the least, but that's still a mid-tier 1 gone. With the top tier 1 gone as well, Execration can dip into the top jungle, cut off the farming patterns of Paulus if he does want to play there. For the benefit of OB.Neon, though, Paulus has been playing bot. And again, he's been stuck in the Javelin, Maelstrom not too far off, but he has to be a bit careful. There is a smoke coming through from Execration.
Palos. Okay, for now, Bob, who are they going after towards the north? They found Mamang Dai again. He's going to try and armlet toggle, but BDZ's just being so annoying with this disruption, and they'll find him a second time. Jewel is out. Do they at least win this Jewel? Not quite. BDZ gets the bonus damage. Now Palos, he tries to fight it out, but Tino's going to survive as now the balance strike does not even connect. Bob's going to join in the team fight. UK should be another target as Tino. He'll jump back in. Hustler, he's going to try and go after the type, but there's no damage. Triple kill out for Tino, and it's a full team wipe.
Yeah, the only benefit for OB.Neon is that the duel didn't actually go to BDZ, although it wouldn't make much of a difference on Shadow Demon, but it didn't actually go. They did get the kill and the last tick of the duel, so it didn't pass through. You do not want to fight the tide with double damage so much. Like, the damage coming through from the Anchor Smash ripped right through them, and that gave enough space for Marb to just work on the Roshan. The counterplay of Execration is just too strong. OB.Neon still needs to hit some item spikes before forcing these engagements, and they do TP in. They could try. There is no Ravage, so Tino should be easier to manage.
Oh, disruption. BDZ just so good on the Shadow Demon, just not allowing anything to get past him. Now, I'll tell you, this Shadow Demon with an Aether Lens this quick, he's just going to be the bane of OB.Neon's existence now. Just so hard to play against a hero like this with that much cast range this early on.
Yeah. It's just too much save. They have no counterplay for that. OB.Neon are relying on burst damage and really quick control. Very tight windows to get their DPS off. And the Shadow Demon just counteracts all of it. Your duel doesn't feel great when Shadow Demon's up. If you duel Shadow Demon, everyone else can come in with their own control. You kind of need to get the pick off first and force the larger engagement. And OB.Neon does have tools to get that done. They've got the Monkey King to scout. The issue is they're just not able to really find BDZ. He's just been playing really well. Execration will smoke up once more as Tree invade that top jungle. No one's quite there. They might not find anything, but that could line up for a top tier 2 push.
Mamang Dai will take the top tier 1. Hustler keeping tabs on Marb. King's out in the mid lane. They saw Palos and the Clinks. He's gotten to the point where he has the Maelstrom Falcon Blade working on towards that Dragon Lance, but he's still having a rough time surviving. He's now picking out Tino, but we've seen the attempts on Tino just not working out, especially if BDZ is around, which he is. They'll take over that dire triangle, as in the meantime, OB.Neon. They'll hang around that Radiant jungle instead. Still pretty tough times for OB.Neon in terms of farm.
Dire are scanning.
Lines being drawn out, they seem to know exactly where Execration are. Naturally, OB.Neon right now, they're just playing the avoid game. They know they can't fight at the moment.
They've just got to stall out for a couple more items. Mamang Dai's BKB is the big one. And once he's got that up, he can at least be aggressive on the front, be the big hero they need to kind of cop the damage, get his own damage off. Issue is that's still not going to stop the disruption saves, but at the very least you're not going to be controlled in the middle of the team fight on the Husker. You're also going to have the Dragonlance, as pointed out by Palos later on. More stats starting to build into that spike. I think the major spike's really the Gleipnir, which is still a ways off, and there's just not enough space for Palos to really flash farm. They're not lagging too far behind on the core-to-core matchup from Neon. They still need to get some more time in to get the work done. Hustler just jumping around to distract, and the creep wave is kind of constantly shoved back by his movement at least, so the tier 2 can't be fully committed for, but he might fall if he's not careful.
Yeah, Tina's having a look around. Couldn't quite get the right tree. Definitely Hustler buying a little bit of time. Rest of OB.Neon just kind of roaming across the other side of the map, just securing their own farm up. Best they can do right now is they understand they cannot force a fight, especially against the Aegis of Marb. Tino, he'll just keep pushing that tier 2 tower. Does have a range creep around, so he can keep going, but eventually he does get taken out by Hustler. Execration, they've smoked up as 3 here. Okay, the closest target. He's in position to break any smoke incoming. Probably not quite the target you want to run into as Execration, but you might have to settle as RR is going to have his smoke broken. UK gets out with his life intact. In the meantime, Enryu in danger as Bob is going to keep the chase up on this LC. Help is incoming somewhat, but Mamang Daya, he is going to drop. They found the Husker again. Enryu's still not out of danger either. So he will purge up the chains, but what does it matter? Bob just keeps chipping away at this LC, and BDZ eventually TP's in for the disruption into the cookie. Will even take the kill himself from the Shadow Demon.
Yeah, OB.Neon just don't have too many angles for these engagements yet. The BKB's already up in Mamang Daya, but couldn't really commit it there in that fight, as it was a bit too scattered out. They are still buying space out for Palos. He is rushing the Ags instead for the Burning Army. So he's not going for the Gleipnir control build, he's just trying to go for the minion spam almost, and that can kind of help out. You don't have the you do have decent ways of clearing it on Execration side, especially with the snap, but Palos could get a good jump on Marb with the Aegis expiring.
Yep. Primal Spring not really going to land. Blink away. It's going to be there from Marb, and he's just going to TP back up towards his own team. Understanding he may have just been caught there for a moment. When you look at Palos' farm, he is actually overtaking Marb and Tino now. So the Clinks is slowly coming online. And I believe the damage will be there. It's just a matter of whether he can survive long enough to get the damage out. Obviously, you have the front line there with Mamang Daya and Enryu, but they haven't been able to survive either. As we'll see the smoke out. OB.Neon, they're going to try and force the fight now, but that T2 top tower is already gone. Because they could try and fight for this outpost. They know Execration will go straight for it. Bit of a loop around here from Palos as well, as they are going to make the jump in. Duel is there. Ravage committed. Tino. It's a great Ravage out. Hustler's been caught as well on this Monkey King. They're immediately going to lose 2 heroes. In fact, make it 3. Mamang Daya and UK gone as well. BDC, RR, they're all low, but not low enough to die yet. As Enryu now being caught by Bob. That'll be a 4th. And we might just see a 5th now as Palos. He is going to try and TP away, but they have the chains out. It'll be a full team wipe. Execration just too clean in this game 1 thus far. They will go back for the outpost. And quite frankly, they're in a great position, John, for that secondary Roshan once it does spawn up.
Yep, they've got the map control on their side. They've got the outpost. There's no easy angles for OB.Neon to jump in. I think for Neon right now, biggest issue is their instantaneous control in team fights isn't amazing. Like they go in, you can maybe get the static storm off. It did come out from UK. The issue was Ravage already flew out from Tino. The instant silence wasn't quick enough from UK, and they got punished. They also knew they were playing under wards. I think we were seeing a lot of pings from Hustler on the cliff ward, but they were forced to engage before getting D wards out. and it just puts OB.Neon in such an awkward point. Mamangdaya, he's not been able to use the kill build.
On Tino, he is not going to die to that duel whatsoever. Henry, you're getting a little bit desperate there. It's Mamangdaya. He's going to try and fight with this BKB, but he can't catch anyone. He just can't catch anyone at all. Now Marb getting glimpsed back towards UK to make matters worse. So Bob, if you can land a chain down, in fact, never mind the chains, they've got the damage and the mobility on Marb to get UK. That they just cannot snipe anyone.
Middle tower is under attack.
Yeah, they're not able to find a backline. That's a key thing. I think ideally you just duel up the Shadow Demon, duel up the Snap, even though you'd want to pin down a core. All of them are a bit too janky though.
Yeah, Palos being caught. I mean, you can lose BDZ here, but what does it matter? In fact, never mind Enryu. He'll be the target. Marb just shreds through him. And BDZ's fine. Hustler could not get the job done. He will at least try to get out, but even that's not enough. Just back into the arms of Marb. Glimpse back into the Static Remnant. BDZ not close enough yet for the disruption, but does eventually get it off. Mamangdaya, he'll show up. Marb, he's still alive. Cookie, not to the high ground. Palos will chase him down. Marb, he will finally go down, but now the Ravage out. They'll get one. In fact, Tino has a Refresher Orb already up on the Tide, so we have a second Ravage, and it's another team wipe. What do you do against this?
I don't think you can do much for Neon's end. They missed their spike with the Husker. The Shadow Demon pick was just perfect from Execration, and we talked about that from draft. Shadow Demon is the key to the game here for Execration, and BDZ has always cut off the duels, cut off the jump ins, cut off the burst damage on the target, and it just delays that spike for OB.Neon because they can't find the kills. They will hold on to their high ground for now, but it's a 12k lead at 22 minutes in, 31-8, going the way of Execration. I think now it's just the Palos game, right? Like, you have to go all in on the Clinks building up. I just don't think the Ags timing's amazing. Like, it can be good. The damage from the Burning Army is pretty nice. But, I don't know, you lack control. I feel like a Gleipnir build would have amped up your DPS, allow you to line up for the Searing Arrows to kill. You just don't have the best hold. Like, what do you have? Kinetic Field and the Boundless Strike, which aren't the long stuns to get the full channel of that attack from Palos off.
UK, he's been caught out. He'll get a Static Remnant on. Palos, he doesn't have a Gleipnir at the moment, so he couldn't hold down the Snapfire. He'll at least get a duel out, so Enryu wins something for his team. In the meantime, Mamangdaya, he's been perched up, so he can't really join his team to jump Tino. And in the end, it will end in a 1-for-1 trade. Definitely a little bit of a win there for OB.Neon. Nothing quite to write home about, but it's something.
Yeah.
Bob? They might still go. They're posturing rather aggressively here. Bob, he'll get to the low ground. Chains out on Mamangdaya. Wukong's command will be committed. Marb, he does not give a crap. Mamangdaya just, he can't fight. Onto Enryu now. This LC just casually being chased by Marb while in the backside. They've controlled up UK. They'll take him down. The Monkey King on the other side is dying right now to Tino. And on the right side, well, there's a duel out. They might be able to get Marb, or maybe not. In fact, Enryu barely gets the duel win. But he will die to Tino, who is now godlike. 9-0-16 on this Tide Hunter. And John, I don't mean to sound like a pessimist, but he's got a double Ravage up in 10 seconds. So OB.Neon, probably not going to be too happy about that.
Yeah, it's still a rough go for OB.Neon. You're not getting any impact on your Husker. You are finding a couple of pickoffs, and that kill in Marb is pretty big. But now you have to deal with the Ags up in BTC. Ags up on the support Shadow Demon at 24 minutes in. That's ridiculous. And Palos? Ooh. No dust, but if they had a vision there, Palos might have just been dead. Playing under the sentry. Bob not carrying his own dust. Still threatens away. And Neon's still losing a lot of map control. They don't have anywhere to play. They don't have their triangle. They barely have their top jungle. Bot lane is where their last tier 2 resides. I think Execration will look to just push that in. Roshan is up as well. So they could go for the safe play once Marb is back up, clear Roshan, get the free Ag Shard, and re-engage from there. Again, with the Ags up in your Shadow Demon, these demonic Perch charges make it hard to fight.
Palos, gonna be okay there. Marb did spot him out with that Burning Barrage for a second, but In the end, he's going to be able to escape as the rest go in. Tino, he's onto Enryu. Press the attack out. It's not going to help, though. Going to be one down. And Marb, I think he might just take the time for this Roshan now. I mean, no LC up. I don't think they can fight in the Roshan pit with double Ravage up anyway. So Marb, he'll go ahead and happily take this Roshan, no problem. With the Shard's Blessing as well. Marb just becomes infinitely harder to kill now with that essentially double enrage. Very, very powerful shards for the Ursa. Execration, mass TPs, they saw Palos, but can they find him? BDZ, he goes for the dust and he actually clips Palos.
I'll burn your body.
He does connect, but it won't matter because they had no vision over him.
Palos does manage to kind of just hit and run, hits his Ags timing now. So the Burning Army is there. They do have some good damage coming through with that. It's just down to spell usage. I think for a high ground defense, the spell is really strong. Issue is it's an 80-second cooldown, so you can kind of just melt the Burning Army with a high attack speed you have on Ursa and on Snapfire, and just kind of go again. I don't know how much impact the Ags will have. OB.Neon do have that tool, so maybe they feel like this could be a power spike, but they have to be careful.
Here, he's not going to make it. Too much damage there from Marb, and in the meantime, Hustler does get caught out. RR takes that one for himself with the Mortimer's Kisses. Just nothing escaping the grasp of Execration apart from maybe Palos. But apart from that, everyone else is just free pickings right now for this Radiant team. They're looking for more in that mid lane, hoping somebody comes in to farm that creep wave. In the end, you just see Bob take it instead. And they're on to that last outer tower now. They still haven't gone high ground, but if you can get all tier 2s before you have to go high ground, that's even better. With 3.5 minutes left on that Aegis, and the Satanic popping up rather soon for Marb. They'll be going up there pretty darn soon.
And the hold from Neon basically boils down to a good static storm. They have to catch multiple heroes in that static storm. Ideally, you catch the Ursa, and I think the Tide has to go there as well to disable that Ravage still. Palos again playing on edge.
He gets the dust again, but it's just a little bit of hesitation costing BDC. Second time in a row, Palos is just too far away to actually catch or see to get that disruption off.
A tool to teach.
Won't matter though. Again, I think they're just waiting for the say. Oh man, never mind. Bob's here. Doesn't have the chains though to throw out onto UK, so they both get out.
Managed to bail out in time. There's a double damage rune sitting down up top though, so Bob will be able to put that in his bottle, be ready for the next fight. OB.Neon, again, they've got some tools for high ground. They've got the Static Storm, Kinetic Field to stall out, the Burning Army to get some good damage off from the high ground position. But it's all down to execution. They've got to make this defense work, because this is all they have now.
See how they can get it done. I mean, Mamang Dai has basically got no items to really talk about, as there's your Ravage out. And it happens way too quick into another Ravage Tino. Oh, he just nailed them with that one. Palos, he's going to try and fight back. Marb's on though. Palos, where's the detection, boys? Oh, it's not there, Marb. He's gone too far. He'll lose the Aegis. This could be problematic. Marb is very far forward. Never mind, he doesn't care. He'll be fine as Bob will force the back. With the Spider Legs and Cookie, he is going to be okay. But Palos, he's been re-jumped here. Marb, he's not done, and he does get the Klink's kill. No buyback available there on Palos. And there'll be another coming onto UK. And I was about to say for a second, Execration, they missed their opportunity without the Aegis up and without that double Ravage, John, but killing off Palos like that, that'll open it back up again.
Just easily melting through. These respawns are still short, though.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one, Mamang. Loses half his HP instantly as they're not done yet. Cookie gonna be out. Mamang with the BKB will barely survive, but not for long. Tino, he's in on that Tide, getting another kill as now Enryu just gets ripped apart by the Ursa. Hustler, he won't survive either, and they've had enough. The draft just does not work out here for OB.Neon. And I appreciate the experimentation, but in the end, John, just not good enough.
Yeah, execution not falling up there for OB.Neon. Execration, I think, had a couple of tools on hand, and we talked about it very early in the draft when the Shadow Demon came out. It's a great way to cut off the LC, a great way to cut off the glimpse plays from the disruptor, a great way to cut off the jumps from Mamangdaya on the target that they want to first down. And it's just all from that one pick. BDZ early on had great positioning coming out. He managed to get good saves on Tino, turn it around against Mamangdaya, and OB.Neon just couldn't leverage that Husker pick. Sure, it had a good time in lane, but you see Mamangdaya score. It was not a good game at all. 2-11-0 on that Husker. Even with the BKB, it was just very easy to handle with the Demonic Purge. He just still had a really good slow to keep him locked in, to set up for Morb to get the chase down. And Execration just had the tools from the get-go to get that done. So I think OB.Neon, maybe time to go back to more standard drafting. Perhaps it might have been a bit better if they just went with a Hustler pause, with the Palos pause 1 Monkey King to face off against Tino's Tide. Have something else on the pause 4 that could have been a bit more active to set up for Enryu's lane and run from there and kind of set up for Mamangdaya to be aggressive as well. But it falls a bit flat. I like the creativity, but it's not looking too good for Neon Game 1. Execration looking very strong. We'll see if they can continue that performance in Game 2.
Absolutely. It will be a 10-minute break, of course, before we do get to that Game 2, but we'll find out how this series does pan out between OB.Neon and Execration very soon. We'll see you then.